City Hall on Tuesday night, our next guest watched an avalanche of public dissatisfaction sweep his party out of power in the House of Representatives, which, as a result, may diminish New York City's influence in Washington. We welcome now Congressman Anthony Weiner back to the show. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. So last year, New York City had 13 members of Congress in the majority, including the chairman of the House Ways and Means. Starting next year, we have one member of Congress in the majority, Michael Grimm. It's a pretty stunning turnaround.
Yeah, it sure is. And it's a reflection of what happened around the country, and it's a reflection of some missteps, I think, that we made, not so much in the things that we did, but the way we talked about them. And it was also, you know, look, we were dealing with a very difficult political environment always. You know, the presidency, the American people have a tendency to kind of want divided government to some degree. The presidency, they tend to swing back the other way. That's a traditional thing that happens. But this happened big and with force, and it definitely is undermining New York City's interests. Well,
let's talk about that, because what's done is done. What does it mean in terms of New York City, in your opinion?
Well,
getting things done.
You know, we have an urban president for the first time since Kennedy, and we had in the majority a lot of urban members who understood the challenges that we face, whether it be not just New York, but Chicago and Texas and California. Now we've reverted to a place where most of the people holding these positions of power are urban and suburban members, rural and suburban members. Mm-hmm. It's going to be problematic. They're going to the mystery here is what it is they want to do. You know, the Republicans campaigned on what they're against. We have a pretty substantial list of the things that they don't like, but we really don't have a sense from this campaign what they intend to do affirmatively for the next 2 years.
Well, what would you say would be the biggest difference between people looking for, from rural and suburban areas and their interests versus urban interests? What urban interests are going to get hurt?
Look, they say they want to repeal the health care bill. Well, I don't think that that's possible, but I can tell you this, a lot of the things we included in the health care bill reflect the unique needs of an urban hospital center. The fact that we have large numbers of uninsured people, the fact that we have a hospital economy, a healthcare economy here that is one of the biggest economies in all of New York City. If they try to disassemble that health care bill, it's going to mean bad things for New York City. If they're successful, transportation issues, you have a transportation bill coming up. If they make the formula such that it helps people that are building roads and highways rather than people like New York City that are building subways and mass transit, that's a way that we can be hurt. But, you know, no one knows for sure. I mean, one of the great enduring mysteries, this entire campaign was almost agenda-free as far as what the Republicans say that they're going to do. I mean, it's literally, I don't know what they want to do on the Transportation Committee, what they want to do. They say they want to take apart the health care bill. Okay, I get that. But I don't quite know how they intend to do it.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because there's been a lot of discussion. I mean, when you talk about you don't know what the agenda is, right. Just in the last few days, from my viewing of what's been said, repealing so-called Obamacare is #1 on their agenda. It seems almost crazy, considering how long we have been, as a country, trying to work toward this moment. It was considered a victorious moment for the Obama administration. Right. What would it take to repeal it? And what really is the likelihood of repealing this massive law?
The absurd thing is they say they want to repeal the law, but then they seem to like the constituent parts of it. You know, do their constituents really want, if you have a pre-existing condition, not be able to get health insurance? I doubt it. Do they really want to not provide health insurance for people 21 to 26? I doubt it. Do they really not want to fill the donut hole for prescription drugs for senior citizens? I don't think so. So what is it they really intend to do? It seems like they have this boogeyman that they've identified that's been pretty successful. I think one thing is for sure, that those of us who care about the middle class and people struggling to make it, we have to, we should embrace this fight. The Republicans now are in charge. They've got to show what it is that they believe we should be doing. They can't vote to repeal the health care bill every day. You know, you sooner or later have to say what your solutions are, and we wait for that. Just today, Senator McConnell said that he's going to continue to believe that being the party of no is a good strategy.
Right.
I don't think the American people believe that.
How do you feel about dealing with, an agenda of repealing laws? Instead of, does that seem backwards instead of forwards?
Well, look, it certainly does. I mean, particularly since it's a health care bill that saves the American taxpayer money, covers people who are not covered. for someone like who lives in New York City, you know, you have $8 billion in our taxes each and every year for the uninsured. So they don't want to deal with that problem. I mean, I'd be curious to see how people who come to Congress who want to solve problems say that that's a way to do it. But it gets back to the fundamentals of this election, which were so troubling. A lot of it were based on myths and, in some cases, lies. Like the American people, middle-class people, got one of the biggest tax cuts in American history under the stimulus bill. Yet you had Tea Party candidates repeatedly say taxes have gone up. You know, how do you deal with that? You've got just about every economic indicator since December of 2007 is much, much better today than it was. It's not perfect, but it's much better. And yet there's this perception that somehow that the economy is in a spiral since December of 2007. I think that the challenge that my new colleagues face is they understand, you know, it's the old Lyndon Johnson expression, you know, it takes a great man to build a barn, but any jackass can kick one down. Well, now they're in the position of having to build the barns.
What is your relationship with John Boehner? Do you know him personally? Do you work well with him?
We aren't, look, I am at two disadvantages. I don't play golf and I don't attend tanning salons, so actually, he and I get along. He's a very nice guy. I know him. I frankly get along with many of my Republican colleagues, even ones that I sometimes yell with or at. But it's not really whether he's a nice guy. It's what he believes. And I think that he now represents a caucus of people that were elected recently, who are elected, a lot of it based on anger and insecurity, and now he has to translate that into governing. And I can tell you what happened the last time the Republicans are in charge. They were so deconstructionist and were so opposed to Washington and everything that it stood for. When they got to Washington, they were incapable of governing, and it's going to be tough for him. But I'm going to work hard to accommodate and to compromise and to try to come up with solutions where we can. But if his agenda is to privatize Social Security, turn Medicare into a voucher system, deconstruct the health care bill, I'm going to fight him tooth and nail.
Right, and he does have a long history of being outspoken. You know, there's all that video of him with the paper bag on his head on the floor, and as do you. You've had a couple colorful moments on the floor this year. Do you feel in any way that being the opposition party could be good for you? That it'll get your juices flowing, and you're always raring for a fight.
No, but it's not fighting for the sake of fighting. It's remembering what these issues are about. You know, if I get excited because the 9/11 health care bill has been held up because of pure politics by my Republican friends, that's the kind of anger I think a lot of Americans feel when they watch this stuff go on television. It's not theatrics. I mean, at the end of the day, if we don't pass the 9/11 bill in this lame duck session in the Senate, I fear it's dead, because only 17 Republicans voted for it when they had a chance to vote on it up or down. But I can look.
Another way New York City could be hurt.
100%. Yeah. And look, what I'm going to do is fight tooth and nail. I'm going to work with them when I can and fight with them when I think I should.
All right. We are going to take a quick break, but we'll have more with Congressman Anthony Weiner in just a moment. Welcome back to Inside City Hall. We are chatting with Congressman Anthony Weiner about a lot of changes on the horizon in Washington, big picture and small picture. What do you think the change in power means for you personally? You've been a fresh, young voice in Congress, and a lot of goals, big agenda. Do you feel that you are going to have, well, obviously more obstacles, but are you going to be able to accomplish your goals? You're going to pursue your agenda? Well,
look, we'll see. I mean, every morning when I get up, I'm thinking about New York City. I'm thinking about the middle-class people I represent, who gave me a very high honor by re-electing me. I'm going to keep doing that. You know, I am going to some degree, want to see what the agenda of the new Congress is. If they come back and they want to undo these things that we've done that are successful for New York City, I'm definitely going to rise to the occasion and try to stop them. I mean, I have some experience being in the minority. Most of my early career was being in the minority party. I have some experience there. I don't like it. It's much easier and better to get things done when you control the House and Senate. There's no doubt about it. There are areas of compromise. I mean, when I passed the first in the nation expansion of DNA testing to help police departments clear out their backlog of DNA rape kits, it was in a Republican Congress with a Republican. After September 11th, when we passed legislation to do more forensic examinations of buildings to make sure they don't collapse, that was with a Republican. When we were able to get extensions to the COPS program, it was doing it with bipartisan support. So I'm going to work with them where I can, but I have just feeling the environment in Washington right now, and notion that the health care bill should be the target. I'm on the committee that helped write that bill. It wasn't perfect, but it certainly helped New York, and if they try to undo it, I'm going to fight them.
Yeah, you've been a big champion of it. But speaking of compromise, you know, it is a narrow majority. Do you see that there are members you could peel away to Democratic issues? You know, are you looking at the landscape thinking, well, this guy, and this guy might be able to come over?
You know, it's a good question. I've been thinking about this a lot, about, you know, what if the Republican Congress surprises us and they don't come in there with this notion of we're just against everything, that they really do want to legislate to solve problems. I'm going to be there to try to do that, because I think there's a lot of common ground. No one wants to pay high insurance rates for their health care. Nobody, you know, wants fewer cops on the street. There's a lot of common ground there. I am just pessimistic, just watching these campaigns around the country, how vitriolic, how often New York City was used as a punchline in TV commercials, how difficult it was doing even the most nonpartisan thing in the last Congress. Can you imagine only 17 Republicans voted against providing health care to 9/11 first responders? If that isn't a bipartisan kind of issue, now maybe they'll see the light and do things differently in the majority, and if they do, they're going to find people who want to work with them. I'll be frank with you, I'm not optimistic watching these races around the country.
Your re-election was pretty comfortable, 58.5% to 41.5% for Bob Turner, your opponent. But did he do better than you expected he would do?
Well, first of all,
do you think he was part of the anti-incumbent wave?
Well, I have a district, and a lot of people don't realize this, only 55% voted for Obama. In the Brooklyn side of my district, 67% voted for John McCain. I beat Mr. Turner there. I beat him, frankly, everywhere, and he was part of the Tea Party movement. He ran a good, vigorous campaign, and he's a good guy, and I honor him. We got to know each other a lot during these debates. I was one of the rare incumbent around the country. I was hunting my opponent down to debate him because that's kind of who I am. But no, look, this was a year that that Democrats were shedding points left and right, and I won my race by 20 points. I'm not complaining.
That's comfortable. I want to shift topics a little bit and ask you about terrorism. You were instrumental this week in pushing YouTube to remove some videos from their website from this American-born cleric, Anwar al-Awlaki. We're just looking at video of him right now. Why did you push YouTube to take these videos down, and how are they responding?
Well, first of all, who this guy is. This is someone who was influential in the Fort Hood bomber, spoke to this guy, the Fort Hood shooter. The Times Square bomber had videos of this guy on his laptop when he was discovered. The Christmas Day bomber attended training from this guy. He is not a casual guy, and not only that, he's kind of been dubbed the Bin Laden of the internet, because there are thousands of YouTube videos that he has made that are essentially how-to jihad. And I understand that YouTube and Google, their parent company, have difficult First Amendment issues to deal with here, and I respect that. And I respect that they want to be a marketplace for ideas. But just the same way that they don't have any videos, or they take down videos of anyone showing how to make a bomb, this guy's making like human time bombs at this point. There was a trial today in Britain, someone who watched these videos and went out and tried to assassinate a member of the British Parliament. So when I reached out, well, first of all, we did some research, and we found thousands of these videos with millions of views, and we asked YouTube to take it down. It wasn't until after his implication in the recent cargo bombing, the attempted cargo bombings, that they said they're going to start taking some of them down. I think all of them should be down. So that was
kind of a wake up and smell the
coffee
moment?
I'm trying to give them as much benefit as I can. I mean, they're a New York company. I want them to be successful. I think they want to do the right thing. But there's no doubt about it. This is a bright line test. And I think they should take down all of this guy's videos before any more people pick up the cudgel that he's recommending.
Do you know how many hits these videos are getting? Are they popular?
We found at least 700 with at least 3.5 million hits. There are a couple. There's one, 44 Ways to Jihad, which is kind of like his greatest hit, that has been propagated many different places. And something to keep in mind, YouTube is kind of the 800-pound gorilla in this sector. You know, it's the place worldwide. If you want to post videos that other people see, that's where you do it. There's no way we're going to shut him up, although he is one of the few people that has been authorized by the CIA to assassinate. He's that dangerous a guy. But I think we do need to take away this tool. You know, YouTube is a place we put our baby pictures up and how to make cakes and put up music videos, but it's also where this guy is successfully exhorting to violence.
Right. Definitely creates a lot of tricky issues there. Before we let you go, need to ask you, you know, you talk about not feeling optimistic as you look ahead. The landscape is definitely going to be different for you going forward. Does this current situation make another run for mayor look a little more attractive?
You know, to some degree, my basic outlook, you know, first I'm not going to give you the answer, I never think about it. You know, it's hard to run for mayor and every day be on the set saying I'd be a good mayor and then say I'm not thinking about it. Definitely, I'd consider it's the only job better than the one I have. But every day I'm motivated by the same thing, which is I think about New York City, particularly the working class, the middle class, those people struggling to make it, and I'm trying to think about how I do that the best. Right now, I'm going to be needed in Washington to fight back against this Congress, I believe. But there's plenty of time before 2013, and so I'll have plenty of chances for you to ask me that question and for me to quasi-answer it in the future.
Well, that was an excellent quasi-answer, and we will ask you again.
I am sure.
Come back soon.
Thank you.
Congressman Anthony Weiner, thanks for being here.